Ownership. A system of legal ownership over something or someone. Funny really to think that in order to rightfully take things from people, you first have to tie them into the same definition and system of ownership as required. Land agreements, for example. They seem to be about fair apportionment, or dividing up something so that people can own it, swiftly followed by legal means to take it from you. All sorts of things this applies to where there is a certificate, or deed, or treaty. By signing into their ownership scheme, you then fall foul of their ownership enterprise, where it becomes about a monopoly rather than fair and free trade. But people wouldn't have fallen for it so easily if the words fair and free meant just that. But under that guise, it became unfair and heavily restricted, regulated, and a ruthless conglomerate gradually swallowed and crushed any competition or complaint. My article, The Digital Doomsday Database, looks at that a bit, and why it was they started compiling data on who, when, what and how much, for more than just tax purposes. And the thing is with ownership, if someone doesn't think they own anything, you might think it's easy to just come and take it away from them. And in a way that is correct. But with no sense of ownership, how exactly is it that you make them then recognise it is yours once you decide that? You see, there needs to be a two-way understanding for ownership to work, otherwise it doesn't. And this is where I find the new phrase being touted for the future of consumerism and sustainability, which we all must be familiar with by now. You will own nothing and you will be happy. And in principle, I can see how that might work. And maybe did once upon a time. Because owning nothing and being happy only really works if everyone owns nothing and doesn't want to own anything. Being possessive over things and driven by desire for more seems a trait some in society say they want to get rid of, while doing it on a grand scale. So make of that what you will. But a personal sense of ownership is important, I feel. Not for material things and money, but for yourself. As it may well be that while you are distracted by things and how much you have, someone is installing ownership over you and your personhood. It's not just land, money and food that is up for grabs in the corporate play unfolding. People are a massive commodity and always have been. What they can do, what they can offer, and how much a person and family actually generates for the system throughout their lives is probably more than we would like to think. Give thought to how much they interfere from birth to death, and how much money is made from both those things and each step in between. And they make you think you actually cost money for them to look after you, which they then take from your slave wage contract you were taught to believe was a choice, groomed from birth to be part of that system of worker for your whole adult life, shunned and treated as an outcast if you choose not to take part, and things then get put in place to make it harder and harder for people to choose an alternative, telling you it's your choice, but only giving you one option kind of thing, and hounding you if you then pick the one that doesn't give them a very intimate control over your life, threatening legal action and financial penalties upon you as a professional tantrum, making it appear to everyone that it is for your own good. And sadly, many people have fallen for that over the centuries. But learning to own yourself before material things is important, and understand who may want ownership over you. There are many institutions in place to tie you in by way of contract and legal agreement, to keep you beholden to the system and constantly having to come back. They own you. You've heard that phrase before, haven't you? But do people give thought to who is the owner, and who is the owned? It may be they are trying to break down someone's personal sense of ownership over themselves and their possessions. Because now the need has switched from consumerism as we knew it, and moved into the ugly phase of us truly being the product, as mentioned in The Mark of the Beast. All they want you to own is debt, so they can say yes, no, jump higher, and so forth. But their weakness appears to be that sense of ownership, because without it, no one would care if you were trying to show off with more. So they need you to want to own money and things, so they can own you.